do so by starting now a small number of so-called lightning talks, enlightening you, hopefully. So those talks are all about current use cases, companies that actually work on something, try out things, give you an insight in where they are, what's working, what's not working. And we want to do it interactive. So each talk will only be 5 minutes. And then we take 5 minutes questions, right? And we start with the first one. And I want you all to put your hands together for Pfizer. And I welcome Sean Gandhi here, talking about AI at work, use cases of emerging tool sets. So where is John? There you are. Big applause.
Thank you so much. And, this is a very critical topic for all of us. And so what I'd like to do over the next couple of minutes, at least give you a number of stories from my organization. So I am head of partnerships for Pfizer. My focus is on identifying novel tools, novel assets that could potentially transform our pipeline and our business, which is developing medicines that can solve a lot of the world's healthcare challenges. Our motto is to bring breakthroughs that change patients' lives. And so when we talk about urgency, we have felt this urgency for the last 176 years. Because human health can be always improved even further. And so we always feel that urgency about discovering new drugs, discovering new diagnostics, discovering new approaches for treating human disease. And so when we think about the promise of artificial intelligence in the biopharmaceutical industry, there are a lot of really interesting facets to our industry that make AI approaches actually very impactful to us. The first is just the large quantums of data that we have to deal with. So we are dealing with biological systems. These are incredibly complex, right? All of our bodies that we inhabit every day, right? These were designed by evolution. And so it was kind of a random walk in order to come about to the structure that we are in today. And so when our scientists try to tease apart this biology, it is very complex. And so because of that complexity, we employ tens of thousands of scientists and clinicians and commercial leaders and manufacturing leaders in order to develop these medicines, in order to bring breakthroughs that change patients' lives. So that's one big piece. The second is the long lead cycle that it requires for us to develop products. On average, it takes between 10 and 15 years to make a drug, from idea on a piece of paper all the way to approval of a molecule and that molecule getting into the hands of patients. And so because of that, it requires multiple people to think about a 10 to 15 year process, and they need to integrate different data sets, different decisions over a 10 to 15 year process in order to create a product at the end of the day that can help patients. So how does Pfizer think about AI? So our CEO, Albert Bourla, spoke last week at a major biopharmaceutical conference, and he named artificial intelligence as one of our 4 key priorities for 2026 and beyond. And so we are attempting, right? We are trying. I think all of our organizations are trying to integrate AI technologies into every facet of our business. So for biopharmaceuticals, we are now starting to use artificial intelligence technologies in the discovery of targets. We recently signed a collaboration with an AI drug discovery company called Boltz. And we are in the process of doing this with other companies to help us utilize these technologies to help us discover targets better, new targets that can lead to newer medicines. We are also using artificial intelligence technologies to discover better antibodies, better small molecule drugs, so that we can start that R&D process off on the right foot, so that we can invest more resources in developing more medicines that have a higher likelihood of success. Once we've identified a molecule, we have to engage in clinical trials in order to test it, to make sure that it's safe and effective in humans. And there are multiple challenges in how we think about clinical trial development. We need to find the right patient that could be good for a trial. We need to find them in the right location. We need to be able to enroll them on the trial. And then we need to be able to measure the effect of that drug. All of these steps are incredibly complicated, and we're now using AI technologies to help us identify patients faster, identify the right sites, and collect the right biomarkers in all of our clinical trials so that we know sooner rather than later that this medicine is working. Once we've identified that medicine, we need to manufacture it, right? We have plants all over the world that manufacture our innovative medicines. And that is also an incredibly complex process. We need to take chemistry and scale it up into a large plant that can manufacture hundreds of millions of pills a year. If it's a biologic, we need to be able to scale it up to these large bioreactors so that we can manufacture these drugs for the world. And we are now beginning to use digital twin technology so that we can actually model out different culture conditions, different reaction conditions, so that we can identify the best manufacturing process sooner, so that we can start manufacturing large scale clinical supply when our drugs hopefully get approved. And then finally, once our drugs are approved, we need to get them into the hands of patients. So we're now beginning to use AI technologies to identify right patient populations around the world, the right prescribers that are taking care of those patients, and providing them with information that is very nuanced, is very tied to their particular interests, so that they get the information they need. And so when a patient comes to them with a particular disease, they're armed with the right information so that they can hopefully prescribe the right medicine for them. So you look throughout this continuum, there are large quantum of data that we are trying to deal with, and we need to integrate it across this 10 to 15 year cycle. So I look forward to your questions. I think this is an exciting time for the use of AI in the biopharmaceutical industry, and we're trying to do our part to change how medicines are discovered and distributed worldwide.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Yes. So questions, please. Here we go.
Oh, and can you introduce yourself too? Yes. As all of us do. Yes.
The question I have is, can you talk a little bit about how the usage of AI has changed your organization, especially at the user level? Because a lot of what we talked about were more kind of traditional AI use cases for manufacturing and control systems.
Yep.
But if you go back in the most recent years, and you think about agentic AI.
That's right. Yes. Yes. So agentic AI is probably the biggest change that we've seen over the last year, where there is strong encouragement across our organization to start either identifying agents that are outside or developing them in-house. So all of those steps that I described, what is current state is that we have these AI tools that generate these insights, and then we have teams of people that take those insights and then turn that into product development roadmaps and product decisions. What we're trying to evolve into is, could we have agents help us with that? Could we have an agent actually integrate large data sets, large numbers of insights that are probably way too complex for a human brain to comprehend? Could we have agents or collections of agents with orchestrators to allow us to make better decisions about which drugs should we advance, which manufacturing processes should we advance, which commercial processes should we advance? So probably in the last year, that's been the biggest change, and that's something that my team is working on. A lot of my colleagues are working on.
Please, next question.
What kind of new skills do your people need? So how do you educate them, or are you saying, okay, the existing ones, we don't need them anymore, and
Yeah.
we bring you up? So
So what's the upskilling and
Yes.
and whom do we upskill as well?
Yes. So our goal is to actually upskill our entire workforce. We actually see a role for these AI tools across our whole organization. And we have a combination of in-house training modules that we've developed in collaboration with universities. We actually now, for all of our employees, we offer them certification courses where we will reimburse them to get a certification or even a degree in artificial intelligence, depending on their role, so that they can stay ahead of the time. So our view is that everyone is going to be using these tools. And so everyone needs to be trained in how to do it.
More questions. There we go.
So, on your side, you use your executive corporate customers, and what you say sounds very much like the sound we've been getting from corporate for the past few years. It hasn't really resulted in major is your strategy? Because trainings are nice, people do the training, and it doesn't mean that they take the risk.
100%. Yes. So one way to do it, this is what we do. Pfizer is a very goals-oriented organization. Everyone in our organization has goals. We set them twice a year. Our performance is benchmarked against how well we do against those goals. All of our senior leaders have AI goals. And so they are judged on the performance and on the completion or overachievement of those goals with respect to AI. And then those goals cascade down through the organization. So my manager and my manager's manager have AI goals. I have AI goals. And so can I say that every single person in the organization has a goal and that they're judged based on how well they perform with respect to using AI tools? I don't know, but a large proportion of our organization is incentivized to use these tools because it is part of their goals and it's part of how they're judged in terms of performance. So I recognize that maybe that's a very aggressive way of thinking about how to push for implementation of AI, but at least my personal sense is there need to be incentives for individuals to use AI, and this could be one way in which you can do it. Do you have a follow-up? Do you have a follow-up? Do you have a follow-up? Yes.
It was very similar. My perception is this is sometimes a question, follow-up question.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really needs to come from a lot deeper than just having an incentive. I mean, really verbal conversation.
That's right.
It really needs to, and this is the challenge that we face in Europe and classically so young from as a society, is that we need to say yes to this. Otherwise,
absolutely.
This whole thing is not going to work for us, but we will work.
Yes, I can add to that. Just last week, I saw the latest Edelman report on trust. And there was a specific question on the adoption of AI globally. And actually it has decreased. So the trust was higher last year. It even has decreased. So example, Germany, we perform the worst. It's 77% of people who are critical and don't trust. So only 23%. So it's a lot of work to do on culture, on adoption of embracing technology. But we know this for 30 years. So it's a long thing. Just to let you go, Sean, my last question to you, you mentioned that, of course, all the use cases you have right now.
That's correct.
They are the ones that you mainly do outside the core data that you have in the organization. Mm-hmm. What time do you think, how much time do you need to actually go to the core? What do you think?
In terms of the core of our data sets?
Of your data sets, yeah, because mostly what you presented is in partnerships, so it's more outside data where you use AI right now.
So I'll make a provocative comment that I think in a lot of our industries, particularly those that are very knowledge oriented, a lot of that core data actually sits within the minds of our colleagues. And so it will likely take time. Our colleagues, myself included, will need to use these AI tools. We'll need to start training them based on the prompts that we offer them, based on the agents that we build. And over time, it'll start to extract, so to speak, that deep knowledge that actually sits in all of our brains. It's like, so I trained as a physician, and most physicians, if you ever talk to them, they have this kind of sixth sense about interpreting a patient's health. They can look at a patient and get a sense of how healthy or not healthy they are. And that comes down to certain characteristics or certain data points that they're picking up subconsciously and that their mind is integrating into giving them a particular conclusion. It's hard for an AI to do that now because there's no way to quantify those data points that, in this example, a physician is using. But in time, as you use these tools more, those data points will start to come out, and eventually you'll be able to come up with those types of algorithms. Yes, of course.
Quick. That's a great goal in your contract.
Yes. It can. I mean, my sense is that there will be a while before those data actually are fully appreciated by the AI. And maybe I'm an optimist here. I'm a fan of abundance when it comes to AI, where hopefully there will be a future where there will always be a role for the human in offering additional insights or additional measurement points, and the AI is always there to help us. No. Yes.
I have to stop now because maybe you take that offline.
Yes,
guys.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much. So we quickly continue with our next speaker, and I want to invite to the stage Brigitte Kudor. Brigitte is on the way. So Brigitte is the founder and the principal consultant at We Do Data, where she's building AI and data systems that are designed for real impact. So please give a warm applause for Brigitte.
Hi. Okay, this is good. So at an insurance company in London, we are using AI to turn human intuition into measurable business decisions. So how we are doing that? At specialty insurance, we underwrite complex risks. So think of marine, political risk, energy plans, and things like that. And in insurance, profitability comes down to answering one question. Are we able to underwrite the risk that we want? Essentially, it's becoming, down to your balance sheet. Can we collect more premium over time than the claims we pay out? And every experienced underwriter has a good mental model in their head of what this good risk looks like. But then the problem becomes how do we turn that judgment into a systematic solution that will allow us to consistently pick profitable policies to underwrite. So we developed what we call the ranking app that lets underwriters rank each client on different scores. And these scores, what they look at is different attributes. So for each kind of risk, different characteristics matter. So for example, if you think about marine, we would look at vessel age, route type, and things like that in order to understand where the risk lies for that category. And then this is where it gets interesting. We need to get all of these data points into a centrally available format. So this introduces a data fragmentation problem. So we have source systems which have really nice structured data. However, we have also unstructured data and documents and things like that. And we also want to use external data, for example, from S&P. And then how do we make this centrally available for underwriters to use at scale? And this is where AI comes in. So we built 2 agentic solutions helping us combat this problem. So firstly, we built an agent that monitors inbox for the submissions and gathers key information from documents and also summarizes reports that will be given to the underwriter in a systematic way. And, as you can imagine, they save hours of time not needing to go through the documents, but they have that information readily available to them. And the second issue that we faced with external data is, for example, with S&P, how do we link the S&P data back into our own organizations that we want to underwrite? So it was a matter of missing a universal ID that you would be able to use to match them on. And we used the agentic AI solution in order to help us with entity resolution. As you can imagine, LLMs are really powerful in understanding context and semantics and able to match these records correctly. So what has been the impact? The impact is quite measurable. So we were able to reduce time to code from days to hours. Our underwriting decisions are more auditable and more consistent. As well as the feature coverage increased from 50 to 90%. And what has been the lessons that we learned? I think the most important one is around trust and adoption. So you can't just tell, your underwriters to, okay, use this, trust this, and things like that. Like that will not work. So what we did is we introduced transparency. And for example, these attributes that we bring through for the underwriters, it can be traced back to the source. So it's easy for them to verify. And like over time, first they would verify all the sources, and then it will reduce and reduce and reduce. And they just build trust in the system. So I think that's the real key takeaway here. I don't think AI will create value by replacing experts, but it will create value by using those expert judgments and turning it into a scalable infrastructure.
Please, questions. Any question? No question?
Okay.
Here we go.
Sorry. Did you have difficulty getting your leaders to understand that this need for transparency in your adoption plan? Because that's brilliant, and sometimes it's very difficult to get everybody on the same page.
No, it was actually pretty easy because, as you can imagine, like we are, sorry,
like that.
Yeah. So insurance is highly regulated. So we get all this all the time. So transparency was one of the actual key points that we needed to pay attention to.
Here we go.
I have one theory about outsourcing, and I believe that also accounts for AI. If you outsource something as a company 100%, after 2 or 3 years, the latest, you lose control over it, you cannot change it anymore, and you have something you cannot manage and improve anymore. So my belief is you can maximize maybe 80% of the task to outsourcing, but you always need some smart people inside the company.
Yeah.
Have you introduced a concept like that, or how would you think about this?
So this is not outsourced solution. This is an in-house solution that was built for the underwriters.
My idea was rather treat AI like an outsourcing partner, because if you give a task 100% to AI, you lose control over how the task works, and because AI does it automatically. So I'm not sure if it works.
Yeah. So right now, this is not fully automated. We are just using AI to make those data points available consistently and systematically in order to save time. And as I said before, it's fully auditable and traceable. And we don't yet give the AI that kind of authority to make all the decisions. Yes. Yeah. We still have the human in the loop, essentially.
No question? I have a question. You've seen a lot. So I would like to know, what reason do you see when it comes to AI and scaling it? What is the most, the biggest reason for initiatives to fail?
I think it's lack of C-level buy-in. So I feel like every AI initiative needs to come from the top. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if you start piloting your own business domains, I don't think that's going to scale. It needs to come from the top, and it needs to be a whole enterprise transformation we see with digital transformation a couple of years ago.
And do you have any recipe how to how do you do that? I'm coming from Germany, and we have a certain leadership, I would say, that is not very tech savvy,
mm-hmm.
Proving this for the last 30 years. And so how do you convince a board to fully embrace AI and trust it and fully support that?
I think you just need to find the friction points and the problems and present an ultimate dream state solution, mm-hmm. and also maybe introduce a bit of fear that your competition is using this technology. If you don't start, then you're going to fall behind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think in Germany, we tried this 20 years and nobody reacted. They still thought that they will do it. No, but I think maybe the time now is right because things are happening. And so thank you for coming here. And
thank you.
Any other conversation we take private. And a warm applause to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
So I want to welcome the next Lightning Talk speaker to the stage, which is Shaiji Ghani. Please come to the stage. So He is Director of Digital Transformation at P&G and co-founder of the Swiss AI Academy. So welcome to the stage. Big applause.
Thank you. So I'm a loudspeaker, but you need the microphone for the TV. So hi everyone, my name is Shaji, and as you said, I am a director at Procter Gamble. But aside from that, I'm an author, I'm a co-founder, and I'm also lucky enough to actually be able to go to universities and teach. So I'm also a lecturer, and the last course I taught was AI for Leaders. And what I talk to AI for Leaders is about how do we scale AI at enterprise. And as well as that, I also consult and I talk to different organizations about AI and what is the right thing to do and how do we actually implement it. So what I want to talk to you about is slightly different than everything else we've heard about. It's more about, rather than inside out, I'm going to talk about what I'm bringing into P&G, but also other organizations that I talk to on how we should do AI. What is the right way to do AI? Now, AI has been around since the 60s. Yeah. So the only thing new is generative AI and how great it is in answering the questions. And because we now have given it a human voice. Yeah. Because we're interactive. But the gains from AI automation have been around for a long time. So we as a company, but every other company has been adopting to it one way or the other. Now with agentic AI and everything else, and what we've seen everything in the papers, the MIT study that 95% of innovation in AI fails. So let me tell you a quick story. I had a discussion with one of my senior managers quite recently. And I asked her, are you busier now than you were in the past? She says, yes. I asked why. She goes, well, I have so many more documents to read and approve and strategy, this and the other. Blah, blah, blah. And I asked her a simple question. The quality of what you're reading now, is it better or worse? What do you think the answer was? Worse. Why? AI slop, right? So what I'm finding is everyone has been on a journey to bring AI, do AI. Let's do it fast. Let's do it fast. Let's do it fast. We have to do it. FOMO, FOMO, FOMO. And that has brought us to the state we are in now. What I'm finding is some of the bigger organizations and some of the more enlightened organizations are taking a breath and asking, whoa, what are we actually doing? Is this the right thing to do or not? And a very interesting question Stefan asked just earlier was, how do we make sure AI succeeds? The number one question that we should ask if we are doing anything with AI is it right thing for the business? Does it actually add value? How do we get C-level buy-in? Well, if it adds value, if it actually solves a real problem that the company is having, you don't need a C-suite buy-in because they will chomp at your bits to get it, right? That's the first question that we need to ask when we talk about AI and bringing it into the organization. And that's the question that I'm asking. The question I asked another senior leader is, well, I actually told her, so I have a long career of having career limiting discussions with my management, right? So basically I go and ask the questions that no one dares ask, and then I get pinged for it. The question I asked is, I actually told one of our chiefs is, I think you're looking at AI the wrong way. When you're implementing AI and when you're talking about AI, your KPI is fingers on the keyboards. I don't care about fingers on keyboards, right? We should ask is, are we able to do more with the same number of people as opposed to be able to do the same with fewer people? That's the dilemma we have, is because everyone's like, well, we got to bring AI. Now I spend billions of dollars in AI. What do I do? Well, let's cut heads, right? Because that's the easiest way to drive costs down, unfortunately, is cut heads. And there was a very good question asked about knowledge base and the wisdom holders, like we call them. Well, what I told my management is, you know what you should do? You should have me train your AI. Let me train your robots. Let me train them. So actually, by the time you decide to get rid of me, which might be sooner than we think, you actually have my knowledge somewhere, right? Otherwise, what's going to happen is the Klarna effect. Who knows the Klarna effect? Who knows Klarna as a company, right? Amazing company. They fired something like 20, 30% of their workforce because they thought agentic AI is going to solve all their problems. Guess what they did? Within a few months, they rehired them, apologized, and gave them a raise. The second question we should ask when we bring about AI is it the right thing for the consumers? Because we can never forget about our consumers. The consumers are still the most important value generating element of our product, of our company. So is this the right thing for the consumer? But what's new, the thing that we're bringing, and I'll wrap up after this, is it the right thing for the community? Right? Now, what do I mean by community? When I had this conversation with another one of our chiefs, quite recently, and I'm actually pushing to become an adoption officer at P&G. Yes, it's a thing that I'm trying to make. It doesn't exist yet, but career limiting conversations, that's my thing. So the question, the impact on community. Now, it's very easy to say community without employees, but I insist that employees are part of community. If I have a plant somewhere that I'm going to make dark because I'm going to put automation in there, great. But what is the impact on the community? And guess what? The people who work at the plant are part of the community. So what are you doing about the community? What is the impact on the community? And what I find is when I talk about employees, I have a very different reaction versus when I talk about community. Because community fails the New York Times test, right? Because no company wants to be the one affecting the community. So if you want to bring AI, if you want to bring AI the right way in your organizations, ask these three questions that I just gave you. Is it the right thing for the company? Does it actually add value? Is it the right thing for the consumers? Does it actually bring that value to life? And is it the right thing for the community? Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for this. So, questions? Questions. Here we go. Swisscom.
Thinking about communities.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
have an example where the AI would help community or where the loop was already closed?
So if we think about a community, so let's talk about a plant. If we ask the question on how can I use AI to do more as opposed to do less, the productivity of that plant goes up, the output of that plant goes up, the people needed the plant goes up, the value that I'm bringing to that community because I'm paying higher taxes goes up, everything goes up. AI is about augmentation. AI is about uplifting humanity and bringing them to the next level, not replacing them. Now, have we actually successfully done that? Not yet, right? But if you all write to my management and say, make me the chief adoption officer, maybe we will. Thank you so much for your question.
Lucas.
Another question, please. Oh, sorry, I'm taking your job.
No.
I was really interested how much AI is already.
Maybe introduce yourself quickly, just who you are.
I'm wondering, as I'm heading the Center for Innovation there, how AI plays a role in innovation at P&G at the moment.
So first thing is, we all do Copilot and pray, right? Because Copilot, actually, I don't know if I should say it, but Copilot is absolutely rubbish, right? So we have evolved from there to look at other alternatives, right? So it's no secret that P&G is a Microsoft company. If you're a Microsoft company, then you use OpenAI. What's funny is OpenAI cloud is actually better than OpenAI when it comes to managing Microsoft products, which I find humorous and I use to my advantage quite a bit. So innovation driven by AI is absolutely there. The idea is to use it to iterate and generate, but not obfuscate, not replace. So what is it? It's a developing place today. We've gone through this whole cycle of AI slop as well as an innovation. Now the question is, if we don't want slop, if we want to actually bring value to the company and the consumers, what is the right way to bring innovation with AI? That's the question that we are grappling with right now.
Follow up? Yeah, follow up.
I was just wondering because you said about the value for the company. I'm fully into that. So classically, it's revenue and profit for the company. How good is it already connected at P&G? Because that would play out nicely, right? Like if innovation was already set up in this strategic way, then AI comes in. How is that playing out at P&G?
So AI is embedded in almost everything we do, right? without going into super specifics on exactly what innovation program we're working, I think it is unreasonable to say that AI does not exist and AI is not helping and AI is not enabling. So what we're doing in one of the things that we do in P&G is we're driving adoption, right? We're driving adoption with fingers on the keyboard to say we need to do adoption. Now we're also looking at driving adoption by doing it the right way. And that is where innovation, AI innovation is playing a role, but we anticipate it to play even a greater role. Because then when we focus on the 3 questions, we can actually generate and unlock value as opposed to just more ideas, because more is not good, right? That's not what we need.
That invest, and that's not only AI, that's anything you want to grow in a company. It's difficult to change that mindset, and I think we have to be more optimistic and invest instead of trying to take them on the road.
I think that's why some companies let the innovation team report to the CFO, which is a very successful partnership. Yeah. Christian. Go first. No, Christian, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Christian.
Hi, Christian.
Quite a split there. The questions you were asking, does it add value for the company? Does it add value for the consumer or for the community? Is also true for innovation.
Yes.
What you just said, right? And it was always a mindset issue since decades, right? Especially Europe, companies don't get it. What makes you confident that now with AI they get it and they actually ask for the real value?
I think what we've done. So first, thank you for your question. And second, I'm super impressed you coded all 3 right back. So kudos. Well done. I think in the past, what AI has done is accelerated. The most wonderful thing about AI is that everyone is so scared of it that if they don't do anything, that they're going to get left behind. You use that as your leverage to say, yes, and this is how we do it the right way. I personally believe that Europe is ready for that conversation. The challenge I have with Europe is slightly different, is they're too slow, right? They're talking about Europe as a continent, AI continent 2035. China's already there, right? So how do we use that to say, this is where we are, this is the state at an enterprise? I can't talk about Europe level. I can't talk about at a greater level, but I can talk about my brand, my product, my role to say, this is how I want to bring AI. This is how I want to leverage it. And this is why it's the right thing for the company. This is how I'm going to add value. Because if I cannot define value, no one's going to listen to me. No matter what it is, AI or the right cleaning partner contract. It doesn't matter. I need to be able to define value. And that in AI world today is super difficult.
Last question, please.
And I really like the 3 questions that you asked.
Thank you, sir.
And I think many people working in organization are looking for a local optimum, right? So if we generate you need to write a report, we generate one, right? And the person on the other side is then using Gen AI again to make it smaller, right? So I think many people are seeking, there are many professionals here that are very proud of how they are using AI, but the impact of that is that they're probably generating a lot of work for other people, right?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And this is that's the story I gave you earlier. I have another anecdote just like that. I was talking to one level below God, and when it comes to P&G, and he was telling me that what he's being told is to use AI to evaluate people's documents and output. And he said, absolutely no. Right? People are taking time to do it. But I'm like, are they actually taking time? Because it most probably is AI slop. So using AI slop with AI to validate AI so that AI can do something, it's just ridiculous. It's a zero-sum game. Yes, sir.
So my group, on the university side, we have like 100 master students per year.
Okay.
And all the master theses today look beautiful.
Yes.
Right? So language,
they all look the same though.
It makes it much more difficult for professors to see what are the things that really important work here, etc. Earlier you could detect sloppy work kind of immediately.
Yes.
But now it's so well hidden that on the receiver side,
it's very difficult. And you know, so I teach a master's course.
We have to finish.
Oh, unfortunately, we have to finish.
Yes, we have to finish. We
Thank
have
you very
so
much.
much more program. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.